So, in 2025, Apple brought liquid glass to not just your phone, but your Mac, your watch, and a couple people's TVs. The transition's been received. That's about it. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people literally think it's Windows Vista, others are pointing out the more questionable parts of it, and if you have OCD, God help you. Now, my last video showed how not all parts of your phone got liquid glass yet. An operating system, whether it's on your phone or your computer, isn't one giant product. It's a massive compilation of different software, apps, drivers, APIs, that are all packaged together into what you'd call a release. So when you bring out a massive design overhaul, some lesser used parts just get left behind for a little bit. On iOS 26, if you go to the wallpaper section, instead of the iOS 26 wallpaper, it's the iOS 18 one. Devastating, am I right? Or on Windows 11, there's still a dial-up application that looks like this, with an icon that literally hasn't been updated since Windows 2000. Usually these little holdovers get gotten to with a little bit of time. But there's an app on your Mac that not only hasn't gotten the liquid glass update yet, but not the redesign before that, or the one before that, and so on for about 20 years. It's so neglected that it almost has to be on purpose. To fully understand, quick story time. This is macOS 9, released back in 2000. This window looks pretty foreign, with that gray brick aesthetic that everything in the 90s had a hard-on for. The same way you'd call the new design liquid glass, this was called Apple Platinum. Now, if you're a modern Mac user and I ask you to close this window or even minimize it, you might blank. In macOS 9, this box on the left is closed. No X or red dot, we just weren't ready for that yet. Now, this box on the right is called Zoom. Theoretically, it shrinks the window to the size of the content in it, which seems like a great idea if it didn't just fuck up everything you're working on every time you used it. Then on the right, you'd expect this to be minimized. No. This is called window shade. You click it and the whole window shrinks to just be the title bar. It's a compact way to shrink the window while still being able to move it around. That's as close to minimizing as you get with macOS 9. Again, we just weren't ready for that yet, unless you were Windows 95 5 years earlier. But then, in 2001, you get macOS 10. Total revamp of not only the guts of the OS, but the entire look and feel. macOS 10 is where we first get the stoplight widgets that we still use today. Red for stop or close, yellow for slow down or minimize, and green for go or go full screen. This is still how Macs work today. And there was also this purple button on the right side of the window that kind of got lost to time. Leave a comment on what you think it should be, and then I'll bet you it's not that. Also with macOS 10, it's the first time you get the dock. If you think liquid glass is a big change for you, going from macOS 9 to 10 was like learning to use a different computer. Now, like I said, since then macOS's workflow has mostly stayed the same, and the look has definitely changed over time. At one point, everything had pinstripes, everything looked like water, we went to space for a couple versions, and at one point the Finder was made of metal for some reason. Then more recently, things got flatter, more readable, and that leads us to today with the introduction of liquid glass. So why did I just lose the plot so bad? Because all you have to do to see Apple's most forgotten piece of software is go to your Mac, type in Stickies. Then get whiplashed about 25 years. You're gonna see an undescript box in the top left that closes the sticky. The same behavior as macOS 9. Okay, you might say, so what does this thing on the right side do? Window shade. That's right, on your modern Mac, the Stickies app doesn't support minimizing to the dock. It instead uses this finicky method for reducing screen space that hasn't been used since the 90s, and isn't necessary on modern Macs because the stickies are so small and your screen is so high res. And I find this odd to the point where it has to be on purpose, because this is a different kind of neglect to the iOS 7 looking iTunes app on your phone right now. This window management behavior is like nothing else in the OS. Imagine your mom using her Mac and opening up Stickies for some reason. It's not going to be intuitive on what to do with it. And while it's not rocket science, she'll figure it out, but it's a total continuity break from the rules that macOS teaches you about how to use it. And for the average non-technical user, consistency is the only way they're comfortable using stuff. Sliding up on your phone, always bringing you to the home screen, or double-clicking something to open it. These are patterns that let non-technical people do technical tasks. And the best ones are the ones your device teaches you without you even knowing it, like red for close. Now this is just on Stickies, an app that almost no one uses because Notes exists alongside it, so nobody's gonna get that confused, or at least for very long. But my point is that it's a little un-Apple-like. Usually they drag you kicking and screaming into a future that they've decided is the future, but they've retained this little slice of the distant past in this app. And maybe I shouldn't call it forgotten because you don't forget to update an app for 25 years. It's gotta be on purpose. But I think they get away with it here because, like I said, Notes exists. The average person that needs to jot something down will look at the app that looks and feels like the one on their phone and do it there. But Stickies has a little more depth to what you can do with it. You can have them float on top of windows you're working on, you can pin them to different parts of your screen. So for the slightly more diehard users, they keep this little Easter egg in the form of functionality, because those macOS 9 widgets are very in line with the way original macOS worked back in 1984 with the original. Which I would be a little sad if they finally got rid of this, because it's a little slice of the very beginning, connected to and maintained right now. So instead of bitching about how transparent the dock is, let's get mad about something that actually matters. Why don't they make green laptops anymore? Hope to see you in the next one.